The political state of the world in 1939. In Berlin, the SWR coalition, which had taken over the parliament after the fall of von Schleicher's emergency government, had threatened a shift of German politics to the far right. Yet, the coalition collapsed under its own weight, and while the national populist wing of the German Fatherland Party still holds a considerable amount of seats, they have been sidelined after various scandals, and former Conservative Party member Paul Lejeune-Jung has taken the mantle of the Chancellery. He has formed a new coalition after the split with the old Christian centrist parties, leading to a fragmented government in which the ruling coalition does not have enough votes to pass important laws on its own, and is in a constant state of deadlock with the large far-right opposition bloc. The old social democratic parties have either been banned under the nationalist jackboot or marginalized, leaving Germany firmly in the grip of squabbling conservatives. In Tokyo, the experiments in democracy in Japan have been similarly extinguished. Attempts at restoring order via the National Security Act have led to resignations, military coup and counter-coup, and eventually the concentration of all power in the empire to Hirohito himself. The ultra-nationalist Taisei Yokusanke, the Imperial Rule Assistance Association, has taken over all forms of government, militarism, and a sense of supremacy has swept society and put the country firmly on an expansionary path. In Sacramento, President Willkie of the Pacific States of America, which rules 3/4 of the country, is burdened with the noble but unenviable task of healing a nation that has been devastated by years of civil war. He has to contest with a large undercurrent of syndicalist sentiment after all far-left parties were banned, and the uneasy truce with Huey Long's American Union State, which has aligned itself with German far-right ultranationalists. Defeats in North America and the Indian subcontinent haven't deterred fanatical strongmen like Benito Mussolini, whose Red Guards fight a protracted and extremely bloody trench war in the Italian mountains, or the revolutionary fervor of the Third International. The world is teetering towards a clash between these major forces, with Russia's unique blend of liberal democracy and monarchy as one of the last strongholds of freedom. Thank you to the comment section for that idea. I really like that, actually, to go around. There's a relatively little you can directly see from what the other countries are up to, but I hope I was able to glean a little bit of an overview of the overall political situation in the world from what I can see and from reading through the various path guides. In the front, or on the front lines, we have made major breakthroughs in Persia by collapsing the Jabal Shammar, and we've just got some remnants of Ottoman troops that need to be dealt with, which is what we're doing here. And with that we should have soon secured the southern front lines, and we can then begin to, as long as Baghdad holds, we can then begin to restart the march north. Aleppo is under Egyptian control at this point, and I think the Ottoman troops are rapidly losing momentum after that defeat of their ally in the desert. In China, we're dealing with a Japanese naval invasion. Given that the Japanese have not managed to hold on to the vital port in Tianjin and are now potentially, eventually, out of supply once they go through their mobile reserves, we should be able to bring yet another defeat to this threat. However, enemy troops are close to the borders of Beijing, and overall the situation is tense on the lines. In Italy, massive trench warfare continues, and we are in a purely defensive stance at this point. We have the 3 mountain divisions dug in the mountains holding the lines, and for the papal reserves are finally starting to engage as well. But mostly we'll stay dug in and defend our positions and not shed Russian blood by pointless offensives into massively superior enemy numbers. So I think with that we have a bit of an overview. So let's continue while we are also building up our armed forces as is necessary. I think there was nothing major that I needed to do here. No. So we can. One thing I needed to check. Somebody mentioned that I think it was the state state export companies, which would give actually quite significant bonuses down the road. So it could be that the decisions that this unlocks actually expand that. So the consumer good factories probably to more down. So we may actually do this, and then switch. Well, I kind of like the export focus economic law, and I was not planning to go up to free trade because of the oil, especially because of the scarce resources like oil, aluminium, rubber, especially rubber, because this is going to make that much harder. We could go down to limited exports, which I also don't necessarily want, but it does give a relatively good economic bonus, and maybe these decisions are quite useful. So we might give it a try. But first, we're clearing out. Yeah, these troops are encircled, so there's not much here to do. And the 74th Guards is closing the gap against the Ottoman divisions here. We're about to secure the holy city of Medina for our brothers. And the American Ice March has been bypassed, which means, I think, that the American Civil War, yes, is officially over. So that particular focus was up here, yes. So we haven't done that. And with that, we can keep concentrating on what we're up against. All right, three divisions in China are pushing exhausted Japanese troops, despite the fact that we are actually having to force the bridges south of Tianjin. But I think once we have done that, we can clean up the rest of the invaders, who should be running out of supply relatively soon. Meanwhile, in Denmark, news from Copenhagen: a proclamation of the Danish People's Republic. Oh, that sounds like they might join the Third International. After the abdication of King Christian X, many looked to Frederick to take the throne and reign, but instead Thorvald Stauning has announced the creation of the Danish People's Republic and has announced the end of the constitutional monarchy in Denmark. A new election is being held to determine the new Prime Minister-President of Denmark, with the likely candidacy of Thorvald Stauning, aiming to win this election and secure his rule over a moderate Danish republic. Many onlookers have criticized Stauning's decision, however, with the upheaval that led to Christian X's abdication. Stauning has openly declared that Danish democracy shall function as fair and free as ever without a monarch interfering in its policies. Okay, so we shall see. There are social democrats, but if somebody calls something a people's republic, I do have Denmark may at some point have to take sides, because they are sort of their strategic position between the Reichspakt and the Third International at this point. So the war in Scandinavia between these two factions is going to mean that I don't think Denmark can stay neutral for long. But we'll see how things turn out. All right, China, the Japanese are bringing in reinforcements, trying to hold, and we only have the two divisions here, so we do need to keep an eye on keeping the assault going. The Japanese are trying to bring in reinforcements. So in Egypt we have we are securing we have defeated the last Ottoman position here, which means we can now actually, it looks like the Ottomans are breaking out in the south. Okay, we might have to send additional troops there because these divisions are no longer encircled. So let's bring we've got 2 Ottoman divisions in the north, so let's send the 69th into the desert, and we'll get the 68th and 75th to relieve the enemy positions here, and assist with dealing with the encircled Ottoman troops, which are currently trying to break out from the encirclement against the exhausted 74th Guards. So we'll be sending some relief there from the north, and hopefully the Assyrians can maybe join as well. Yeah, I think they're being attacked from multiple directions at this point, but the 74th are running low on supply and everything else. So while we are clearing the desert, the 70th has pushed the first Ottoman infantry back into their port position, and despite the fact that they do have to manage to get across the straits, which they are not equipped for, they are the Ottomans have nowhere to go, so that should work out by itself. These troops are moving, and we actually have fewer things to take care of now that we don't have the American Civil War to deal with anymore. We're still trying to get the troops into position near the bridges, simply because the assault has failed. The Qing troops have abandoned the attempts, which means we can now finally bring the Russian specialists in and see if we can manage to push across the bridges and get the Japanese dug out from their positions there, while friendly troops are clearing out in the south as well. The electronic calculating machine has been completed, which should give us a research bonus, I believe, once we're done with construction. Yes, on... this is actually irritating. I haven't timed this right. I was kind of hoping that we could... Yeah, I should have done this actually afterwards, because this isn't ahead of time anymore. So I was hoping to use it as the ahead of time bonus against the next one. We'll just speed up this then, and I think we'll be all right. All right. So with that, we can see what we do next here. I might do the state export companies just simply because it was recommended. We do also have to do the consolidation of security services for another operative, and there are a few upgrades that we can do here. We can also get we can get 2 free military factories. That's probably quite important as well. And a few bonuses. All right, I'm gonna go with state export companies just to get this gets me into free trade. So how are we on civilian factories? Consumer goods currently is at 17%, so we could still reduce that further by doing this. We still have to do the democratic curriculum at some point. Or we could get ourselves 100 political power and get BIBE, which would anger the left a little bit, but 100 political power would be quite welcome at this point. Choices. Not too much in the political tree that we need to do right now. This would be just free air bases, and I think what else we got? This is for military high command. In fact, I might actually do this because this is having a debuff for 365 days, and but it leads to other things that have some pretty good bonuses on it. So we'll do that. We need to do that probably first. Probably should have done this before the computing machine, actually, in retrospect. But here we are. So the fight's going on. Across the bridges. In Italy, we're holding, and I think I do need to restructure the. Okay, I do need to restructure the shortcuts a little bit because because we no longer have the Americans here. All right, so we've got 2 divisions, the 68th and the 75th, now slamming into the Ottomans, who should be in multiple combat at this point, but for some reason are not. So we'll see. And they also should be encircled, which again they are not, but they are out of supply. And with that, okay. With that, yeah, we'll try to finish them off while the 74th is holding on. And we've also got the 73rd. Why are we so difficult on? Okay, because we're not holding the Medina supply line yet, because the railways haven't been converted, and because the Ottomans are still squatting the railroads. So we are running a little low on supply here, which means I might actually pull the 73rd back temporarily. Yeah, we'll pull the 73rd back for the defense here. And that will no, you go into the, okay, that's a different army, I think. We'll pull them back into the defense here, and then they can assist while we're clearing out the last Ottoman divisions in the north. Okay, we've got the 70th who can assist. We should give you a front line here. 70th, which can assist with the assault on the last remaining enemy troops all the way out through to Abu Dhabi. And then yeah, we've just got a bit of Ottoman to clean up in the south here, and then we can we're already linking up near Baghdad, and I think Ottoman lines are going to consecutively weaken here, so we're in a good state. Right, pushing across the river, pushing across the bridges, and trying to get the Japanese dislodged. Is they still have some supply in the area, surprisingly, despite the fact that there is no port. So they're still working with what they've brought from the landings. But the German sanctions are hitting the forestry sector, which is irritating. But we will survive. This was due to my unwillingness to pay off the Germans, and I think here we just have to keep an eye on the situation on the ground in Egypt. Right, the last Ottoman division here, I think, is going to fall relatively quickly, especially that we're bringing in reinforcements to Medina with the 73rd, and they can actually join the attack if the Ottoman division is still standing. In China, we're still trying to clear up. We'll have to keep an eye on Beijing to make sure that the Japanese do not counterattack us or do not use the disruption that their naval landing has caused. But we'll see how many divisions there actually are. That right now we're seeing 6, but there are more. I think it's 7 divisions all in all that have been defeated, and that means a total of about almost 65,000 Japanese experienced troops. The failed naval landing south of Tianjin have been either captured or have have given their life for their emperor. So I will return and see if we can manage to find an opportunity to break through enemy lines here, potentially, and see if we can manage to encircle some more troops and push them back towards the river until they might invade once more. The situation in Italy is pretty static. There's so many Red Guard troops around that there's really no point in trying to do anything. But we're simply going to hold position there. All right, the last Ottomans here have been defeated, which means we are going to have to start reorganizing the front line soon. The 69th is still busy clearing out Ottoman positions in the north, but that should not take much longer anymore. And we should now have supply out of Medina, potentially, because the Persian routes should apply here. So let's see if we can get all the troops reorganized here. The 70th, okay, 70th is in position near Abu Dhabi and can start marching. And that leaves the 74th and the 73rd that we have over here. All right, so these divisions I am going to position here. Can I get both on that? There we go. With the goal of reducing the last Ottoman strongholds here. But we do need to get the supply organized first. And okay, you know, they're still working on, because I see where the problem lies. The problem is that the Persians are, it's once again a problem of coordination between the various tribes on the ground. So we've got the Persians who are holding Medina, and they obviously won't accept deliveries from the Egyptians, or rather from the Syrians, coming through their positions, because the paperwork isn't in the right language, and everything is more difficult than it needs to be, which means that these troops are probably not going to have supply here. Which also means, while the locals are squabbling, I am simply going to remove these troops from this line and let the locals deal with it, because all they need to do is figure out how to get the Ottoman divisions reduced at this area, which shouldn't be too hard. Which means we are going to simply begin by sending these troops north and bring them, this is the Persian Expeditionary Force, so they need to actually return towards Baghdad. And we will once again plan the offensive towards Mosul. And then we have one division from the Egyptian Expeditionary Force, the 75th, which can start moving north towards, we'll probably move towards Aleppo and start planning a push north. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, we probably want to start securing the supply lines in the north, so we'll give them a front line to do exactly that. Obviously, the single division isn't going to be able to do it, but we'll wait for the rest of the troops to get here once they're finished with their respective missions, one of which is to clear out the last remaining Ottomans in the desert, and then we'll leave the locals to dealing with the supply situation in the south, because really, nobody needs that. There's no railroad, so these troops are going to have to march through the desert and deal with potential Ottoman incursions here as well, while the lines towards Basra are once again undefended. We've had this problem before, but we will try to see if we can move out from Baghdad and cut off the Ottomans that are advancing towards Najaf and towards Basra. But it's going to take a while for the Russian troops to get there. So now we've got a second division in place, and we've got the 70th, which can now move in and clear up the last Ottomans on the coast here. All right. Volunteer forces from the States have returned to Petrograd and will be reintegrated into the 6th Army. And we are going to need, by the looks of it, we are going to need to upgrade our supply lines here, because Kursk does not have sufficient supply to fully equip the tank forces that we've concentrated near Belgorod. Unfortunately, there's not an awful lot we can do about this other than, I think, upgrading the infrastructure. Yeah, we'll just upgrade the infrastructure in the Belgorod region to support the which one is it? That should be. Or is it not here? Is it this one? Yeah. It should be 2. Oh, it's 2 only. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll upgrade the local infrastructure, and we will see, because the supply hubs are not the limit here. It's simply we simply don't have enough infrastructure to get things going. Same situation here in the north. This is where we start having the infantry for the invasion of the United Baltic Duchy in place. but the supply situation here is not good either. So Dvinsk supply hub is overloaded and needs to be, yeah, this is a central part, so that needs to be upgraded. Also, we have to deal with the logistics situation. So we can, for example, get this army on motorized and see if that solves the situation, but I don't think it will. No, it does not. We are going to have to upgrade the bottlenecks from here, which is going to put in some construction. That is not too terrible. So let's get these up, prioritized. These are preparatory measures just to make sure that we have sufficient supply at the front lines for offensive operations. And yeah, this is definitely one of the more difficult areas. So that should get it up to 20, which isn't going to be enough, so I have to do it once more. Yeah, that is going to be a little bit of railroad building, but we'll get there eventually. This is something that needs to be done sooner rather than later while we're preparing for conflict. All right, these 3 divisions that have returned, I might keep them as a reserve because I don't think we'll have enough supply here yet or we bring them in for the second offensive in Ukraine, which would be through Luhansk to the supply hub there. So I think that's probably what we'll do. Definitely, they have to rejoin be reassigned to the 6th Army, which is currently under Popov, but I think we'll replace him with Stefan. Now that Stefan is back, so he will be taking over, which means these 3 divisions are going to be positioned near Luhansk, and we'll probably like this. And their task is to secure, the initial task is going to be to secure the supply lines there. So that is all part of Operacja Mali Saturn. Okay, so that's underway. Everything else is in position, and we're still training up some guard infantry. Do I need to do anything urgently on the infantry divisions? These guys need field hospitals and line artillery potentially. And all the I think have I changed all the guards divisions over? Let's have a quick look. Can I see this here? Not really, not easily, I think, but I think it's these armies here. So just looking for any outdated division templates where we need to change, but I think we're all good here. And we actually now can finally assign somebody for the First European Front, which is going to be Field Marshal Markov, who has come as an armor expert with the offensive doctrine. Yeah, we'll get him in. He has been fighting in the States as well. Does he have any upgrades pending? He does not. Okay, so that he will know what to do. And we've got a few generals here who can get the infantry experts would probably want to run with here, and the same for Grishin. Let's see, Grishin. Yeah, these are regular infantry. These are more elites, infantry expert as well. All right, starting to have some things organized. I'm not yet sure with the rest of the generals, because we're still fighting abroad, so we might still shuffle these around. But we have some leaders now in place, at least for the positions, and we can actually set the preferred tactic. I was going to say I was going to be using the suppressive barrage because we are running with the lessons from Brusilov for additional suppressive barrage tactic chance, plus 5% breakthrough. So we can do that on Pepeleayev because he actually has the preferred tactic set. So suppressive barrage it is. I can't. Oh no, I can't because it's on skill level 5. It told me he can take an officer corps role. Right, that might actually be something we need to consider soon as well. It wasn't the tactic, it was the officer corps role. All right, Italian front. holding in place as it should be. Tanks from Petrograd are going to move out. In China, we are immediately coming under vicious attacks from, or incessant rather, attacks from the enemy forces, and we are once more. We are once more. No, we're actually not at the forefront. We're not engaged in fighting, but still in reserves in case we are needed. Which means we're going back. I'm going to really have to. I'll reorganize the. Okay, much better. Right, troops in Egypt moving into position. Please use the railroads where available. We have cleared out. We need to get rid of that front line. This is a problem for the Persians to organize. These troops are moving east, which is not. There's no railway in the desert, so it's going to take a while for them to get there. And everyone else is moving into position, so we don't really need to look at that front for a while, which means we can concentrate on, well, probably the Chinese front, honestly, because that's the only one where there's currently any fighting going on. We are in November, and we are, how are we on? Okay, we're now starting to build railway guns as well, which is good. We're starting to fill out the, really fill out the lines here. But we do have a few upgrades on the tanks that we need to, a few upgrades across the board that we need to get going soon. How's the research? Yeah, planes next. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that at some point. But for now, we'll keep a bit of an eye on the defense here on the Chinese front and see if we can maybe have an opportunity for a counterattack. Not there. No, stay. There, if I could. I would love to run that counterattack if we can. Although there is there are fortifications in this position, so without air support, this is going to be extremely difficult to dig them out. Anyway, all right, we'll leave the troops where they are for now, and yeah, I think the Persians can handle this, so there should not be too much trouble. Okay, army department has been completed, and then I'm not gonna work on intelligence too much. Where have we currently deployed our operatives? Actually, I have completely forgotten. Oh, we're rescuing Kuznetsov because he got himself captured. That's what we're doing in Ukraine. Yeah. Yeah. Do not underestimate the Ukrainian intelligence operations. They can be quite vicious. So we're doing that. That means Chinese front, endless fighting, and all other fronts quiet for the time being. It turns out that the ceasefire between the Union State and the Pacific States was short-lived. Pacific States have declared war on the Union State, and after just a few months, the American Civil War has broken out once more. The Pacific States have, we don't actually know how many divisions they have, but they should certainly have the manpower to deal with the Union State. However, just to ensure things, we might actually send the volunteers back. Let's have a quick look at the terrain that we're dealing with here. Most of it is, there are some mountains regions, but most of it is plains. So we could send some tank divisions back over again, and I think that's actually a good idea, just to make sure that the German support for the Union State and for Huey Long isn't going to change the landscape there. So we're going to have to. We're going to send some other tank divisions this time. Stefan is just returning at this point, so we might actually send someone else. We've got a few more tank divisions here that are that haven't seen action. The 2nd, the 6th, and the 7th haven't seen action recently. So we'll send these back over. In fact, we can now send 4 divisions over. So we should be able to send an air force at this point as well. So we will send 4 armored divisions. Under Stefan himself has volunteered to return. So he seems to have made friends over there. So we will be sending troops once more into the American theater, and we will see how. We'll assist with clearing out the German aligned ultranationalists from the American continent and ensuring the final victory for the democratic states in America. All right, troops in the desert are moving very slowly. We have managed to take, I think, this is okay. That's a different state. All right, so we looked Ottoman for a second, but it's not. So we've cleared out the last Ottomans on this front. This is the Persian expedition, so they can return. They can return here as well. I'm going to take the railroad, return to Baghdad, because the Egyptians are being pushed back, and the Ottomans have been stopped in Najaf by Persian troops. Hopefully, this reorganization here, once the last Ottoman holdouts near Mecca are cleared, is going to allow more troops onto the front lines in general. The other troops are almost in Aleppo, so once they've arrived, then we'll join the offensive operations there. And yes, we'll have to wait a little bit for the American volunteers to arrive. Meanwhile, the Russian mountaineers are once again engaged. At least the 65th is engaged in defensive operations at the Chinese-Japanese line of contact, which is, as usual, pretty immobile, very static, to say. The Italian force is actually starting to break a little bit. They have the veterans of these battles are not being given a reprieve. So we do take relatively low losses. When we do take losses, the enemy takes disproportionate losses. But we still do take losses eventually. I think the mountain divisions, yeah, they have field hospitals, so that's good. What I'm missing are engineers, actually. I might actually just change that because we're not running offensive operations right now. So let's do that, just so I don't forget that. They will be eventually delivered. And we have Dux. And I keep forgetting what they were for. This is for fighters. Okay, so we've got another option here. So far, we've gone with range mostly. Range. We've got air attack here. Yeah, I think air attack is where I want to go. And we've got a few. We've got reliability or speed, agility or range. We're sort of approaching that from all directions. So let's complete this in the top. I think improved ammunition yawing for more air attack is where I'm going to go with. All right. And we are currently researching the high-speed airframe. So we're not going to be upgrading the old frames anymore, but we are getting there. We can get because we have 50, it's an industrial concern we can potentially get. But the next, I don't think that was, yeah, it's a petroleum company. That's, it's nice, but fuel is not my main concern, it's rubber. So we will have to see how that goes. We could start seeing if we can, who we can get into the military high command, but I probably want to get the political advisors done first. We are at partial mobilization. We can't get to war economy just yet. Because we're not at war, obviously, but I would like to have the political power ready to do that when it happens sooner or later. And we're currently relatively okay on manpower, but I'm still thinking of going up for extensive conscription eventually as well. All right, so we ignore that for now. We have most things set up except for the Air Force spirits, actually, simply because we don't have the air experience. We could use, I don't know if this applies retroactively, but we could use the industry liaisons for now. Or where were the veteran instructors? That's usually one of my favorites because that reduces the experience losses. That's carrier. That's 10% mission efficiency is pretty good. Ace effectiveness improvement. veteran air instructors, we'll go with that for now, because I do not wish if we are sending air wings to the States, I don't necessarily wish for them to become victims of this. We still can't send any air support to Italy, but we'll see if we can manage to bring some air support. How is the war in the States going? I think they are crushing the Union state relatively quickly without our involvement, but we'll leave them at it. And here we're just defending against relentless assaults from Chinese troops. I don't think we have any chance of beginning. The plant preparation isn't even anywhere near done, so we'll sit tight in China. And we might have to retreat from the lines eventually in Italy. I don't know if we can hold this forever here, because the relentless attacks, even though they are actually costly more costly for the enemy, but the syndicalists under I was about to say Berlusconi, under Benito Mussolini, sorry Italy, have no qualms in throwing their men into frontal attacks to eventually try and wear us down. So we might. We still have potentially an option to break out here, but that would just mean that the papal troops would get pushed back immediately. And yeah, we're under constant attacks from all sides. So not really doing an awful lot here. We are not going to be doing an awful lot here either. Persian troops are on their way. First division has arrived in Baghdad, and we've got the 3 guards divisions in the north. And it looks like the Egyptians are already making headway. So I think it's just a matter of simply joining the assault here, pushing the enemy out from across defensive lines, and then expanding our territory into Ottoman proper, while we're waiting for the remaining divisions to arrive near Baghdad. The Persians are holding at Najaf, and here we have another opportunity. The Deir ez-Zor supply hub isn't connected to anything, so there's little supply we can get in the central area here near between Deir ez-Zor and Mosul. So we're probably clearer to run an assault against Mosul in the east. Interesting, the Kurds are still holding out, so with the assistance of some Persian troops, but we're waiting for the remaining divisions to get there. And here we are simply running the assault against Antep in the north, while the Egyptians seem to be relocating for a different front line. We'll see what that gets us. But we should have with holding this position here, we'll have the railway connection to Antep, and then from there we I think are cutting off most of the. This is the critical railroad junction, which is already cut technically. Through that operation, which should deprive the Ottoman troops here of effective supply. In China, we're digging in for now, planning. These troops are still moving, and Sicily is what's concerning me a little bit at this point, because the Russian troops here are increasingly taking losses, bearing the brunt of the frontline fighting. So I'm not entirely certain we can hold this position against the massive enemy numerical superiority, and the war in the air is also going on with a large number of enemy fighter craft in the air. So we are getting some air support, but we're also getting hit by enemy aircraft relatively repeatedly. Can we actually see the detail? No, we don't, because we're not actually directly involved, so we don't get the details of this battle. Okay, here holding steady, and troops here are moving into position. And it looks like the assault on Antep. Okay, we're just waiting to get the guards divisions involved, and then we are. Then once we've joined the battle, and I think they have abandoned the assault before we joined. Okay, troops from Aleppo now joining in, and together with them we are making our way ahead. And once again, the flame tanks, when they are available, are proving to be relatively effective. So we should be seeing some problems on the enemy side to break the armor on these tanks. Right, troops in China need to plan any kind of offensive potentially, so they just stay there. Troops in Baghdad nearly there. Troops in Sicily, I am tempted. Yeah, they are getting extremely worn out at this point, so I am going to fall them back, to be honest, and let the Italians take the front line for now. So we'll be falling back from this position. We have been fighting here incessantly for months at a time. So we're retreating behind the river line, and we will let the papal divisions hold this position. They have ample reserves, and they have not been worn out by incessant fighting. The volunteer forces in the Pacific states have arrived, unfortunately, in San Francisco, which is kind of the other side of the country. So let's go through this, and then we will relocate them. The psychology of the totalitarian mind. The Heidelberg-based Russian sociologist Sergei Stepanovich Chakotin's magnum opus, The Psychology of the Totalitarian Mind, has been immediately lauded as a classic and a work that captures much of the zeitgeist of the 1930s. Actually, so quick sideline. Zeitgeist is a word that is used in English language, which has always been fascinating to me because this is a German word. Zeit is the German word for time, and Geist is a ghost or a spirit. So it's the spirit of the time, just in case you were not aware what that actually means. Captures much of the zeitgeist of the 1930s, both in Russia and elsewhere. Chakotin, who fled Russia in 1935 and has been an outspoken critic of totalitarianism in both Russia and Germany, has crafted a convincing narrative on the nature of these rabble-rousers of the modern age. Okay. Chakotin identifies the key support base for all of these movements, both Bolsheviks and Swobodniks, as inherently the same group of people, those left behind by a rapidly modernizing society and the rural poor who work in odd jobs, drifting from one place to another, never with proper foundation or identity. These groups are created by social inequality, and they breed bitterness, contempt, and fuel for political unrest should demagogues like Lenin, Savinkov, Schleicher, or Long offer them simple, strong leaders to follow. Oh, that is not relevant in current times at all, isn't it? This very much aligns with my personal views as well, that economic disenfranchising, disconnected elites, vast economic inequality, and make it very easy for reduction in education, reduction in prospect, make it easy to have mobilizable masses who can be given simple solutions to difficult problems. And usually these solutions involve finding an other that you can blame. And so people that are different, that are to be blamed for the problem, and that can undermine societies quite a bit. So this is something to think about when you're looking at economic systems, even today. That economic inequality, which is probably also one reason why the Chinese are so busy trying to get people out of poverty, because people who have enough to eat and who are having economic prospects are much less likely to revolt. And I think this is a lesson that we kind of have forgotten in the Western world, since we haven't really had that issue since, about this time last century. So something to keep in mind. Anyway, focusing on the Russian situation, Chakotin argues that because none of the underlying social issues that led to the 1917 revolution were fixed, and the consequences, communism, merely being banned, it only led to that same unrest and inequality channeling itself into a new breed of political movement, the SZRS. He's probably not wrong. Furthermore, these movements are never genuinely interested, able, or willing to actually solve the social issue that fuel them. Of course not, because if you solve the actual social issues, you lose the angry young men who you can send to fight people because they just want to punch stuff. This makes these totalitarian movements inherently irrational and destructive, as they must find new groups to persecute to solve societal issues. Yes, if you've done the thing you said was causing all you would do to solve the problem, and then the problem hasn't been solved, you need to find a new thing. Otherwise, the anger turns back around. This only leads to mass repression, Chekism, Savinkov's purges, and so on. That has no logical end, and it is not founded on any logical premise. Look at especially at the early days of the Soviet Union, a similar problem. Chakotin's work has received much attention from anti-totalitarian politicians and was widely thanked as a theoretical framework for a proper explanation of the rise of these totalist groups. Very much agree with that. Actually, reminds me, we still probably have a few. Yeah, we've got a few things to do still. Especially the Caucasus area, which has been a bit problematic, but we are building up we've got the resistance down after these events, and we are building up compliance, which I think we need to get to 80%, and then we can integrate these regions into Russia proper. We can do the Cossack host, but I just don't have the political power right now given the overall world situation. But I haven't forgotten about these. This is something we still need to do. Okay. So that was an interesting aside, and again something that I wholeheartedly agree with, and as once again shows, at least for me, how deep the thinking on the makers of the Kaiserreich mod goes, because these little flavors really show a very good understanding of history, politics, and everything else. So if you're interested in politics, you have to know history, because everything is connected, and forgetting about it makes it easy to think that problems are new, but they usually aren't. All right, still selling some old planes off, and making slow progress here. Okay, I do not wish my divisions to move off. Have we been? No, we've retaken Karbala, that's why. Okay, so these divisions need to stay. And the last one is still railroading in. And then we're going to start the push north and see where we can make progress. But it looks like the Persians do that without our benefit. And we do have the Pacific volunteers. So these are the Pacific States volunteers who have arrived in San Francisco. So let's get these to the front lines. We're probably going to go straight for the throat and move through Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and these are river crossings, so less than ideal. But I think the tanks can do good work here. So let's get 4 divisions over and see if we can, literally drive across the continent, cut off the southern half, and then that should hopefully collapse the whole thing relatively quickly. Now we do need to get there first, but the big question is, can we send aircraft? And it looks like, once again, we can't. I'm not sure I understand why, but we can't send aircraft I can't seem to be able to send aircraft to civil wars we're volunteering in. So that is confusing. We should be able to do that. Like Northern Texas Air Base, but I don't think I can send, or am I missing anything? Let's see if I can just select an air wing over here. So we've got, let's bring like a fighter wing over. Can we bring that over? Oh yes, we can. Okay. Normally, this shows up without you selecting a fighter wing. So have they changed that? And I'm an idiot, and I've been able to do that every time. You must have been screaming at the screen for episodes before I've realized finally that I can actually do this. Usually this works without. Okay. Usually this works. Usually this works without. So usually you get that marker even if you haven't selected, at least from my memory, if you haven't selected a and air wings. So we can actually deploy the Russian Air Force. Okay, 3 fighter wings for Italy. Roma, and you shall be flying air superiority over Italy. We've got a few fighter wings. I think we've got two. That's a close air support. So one fighter wing, and we'll send that to China. How's the yeah? Why not? Let's see. How's the air? Yeah, we can take that. We'll send one fighter wing to China. Oh dear. And we can get 2 more. These might be equipped with older aircraft, but that's fine. We'll send them all to Beijing. And I did say I wanted 3 in the States. So I have that's a fighter wing. So we've got 1 here, and we've got 2 more in training. Yeah, that would be pretty much everything deployed at that point. Yeah. So we've got 1 here that can go to. Let's see, where can we deploy easiest, where we're actually going to make a difference? I think the Missouri Air Base probably going to be the best position, or we'll see if we have the range. We'll deploy to north of Houston first. So we've got 1 from here. I could be kicking myself. And we've got 2 more from here, which are going to move over to Houston. All right. Yep. No matter how many hundreds of hours you've got in Hearts of Iron 4, you miss something sometimes. All right, where were we? So China, we're waiting for air support. Persia, we're waiting for air support. And we are in fact fighting the enemy here. In Italy, we're getting pushed back, so we are literally just retreating to. We cannot hold this position any longer. We're retreating behind the river line into more defensible positions, and then we'll be holding the lines there. Fighting retreat, and the losses are definitely going to be mounting there. So. That's that. Anyway, the Pacific, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. There we go. 6. Can you please take the, no, wrong button. Take the railway. Okay. That's because they are deploying to the front line, I know. Okay, I figured that out by now, so stop that. Take the railway. Take the railway, thank you. And then obviously we can't deploy directly, so we'll deploy to Shreveport, which is going to be using the railway. Okay, otherwise it's going to take forever. Okay, waiting for fighter craft to arrive on all front lines. So we're keeping an eye on where the air wings are before we make any further moves. Did I? Yes. Okay, I've actually got 1 still here that is not redeploying. Okay, so I actually had 1 more that I thought, and I've got the close air support wing there as well. Yeah, we're gonna have to build some close air support soon, but for now we will wait for the aircraft to make their way in. I think the aircraft in Italy are about to arrive. Yes, so we've got 3 fighter wings in Italy. Let's see what they're actually having. 180S, yeah, I-180S and use. So we've actually got quality planes here. So we will deploy them to the Italian air zone on air superiority. Yeah. So we should now start to see our own fighters. Yes, there we go. We've got our own fighters up in the air now as well. Air detection is abysmal mission, but that's the same on both sides. So with that, the situation on the ground might actually get a little better, but we do need to let these divisions recover here. Right, China air situation. We have aircraft. These moving there. Okay, where are they? They're still over the Kazakh steppes. Okay, so that's going to take a little bit of time still. We don't have actually anything. If we've got a fighter wing left, we can probably deploy it. Yeah, this one's standing by, so that one's going to go to. Where are we? Do we have an airport near Baghdad? We do. We'll send one. We can only send one. Okay, so we'll send one there, and they can join as well. All right. So these are still redeploying, which means, and we have taken Antep, which means we should now be having supply. Yeah, once that organizes, we will have supply, and that means we'll change our focus westwards, and we will be pushing the enemy out of the port of Adana, and then I think we have secured sufficient supply for a northern offensive. So let's get everybody moving over. Wait until we get that supply hub coordinated, and then things will go better. All right, so we're now actively engaging with the enemy, and by the looks of it, we're the only ones. So these might take some losses. We're kind of flying day and night missions. I might actually just fly day missions. Where's the rest of them? There should be Austrian and German fighters up in the air. But we are confusingly up against what looks like Messerschmitts. Anyway, we'll see how this develops, and how the kill death ratio is going to go. We don't have the best fighters in the world yet, but we're working on it anyway. So that was that. Where are the other fighter craft? Have we arrived yet in Texas? I think not. Do we have air wings in China now? Not yet. Where are they? Let's find out. I think this one, no, that one was going east. Some of these were going there. All right. First air wing. No, they're still over the over the region. All right. They should be there in a minute, and then we can continue. But we do have the troops ready in Baghdad, and I think they can start advancing once the 74th is completely. In fact, we can just leave the 74th behind, as these two divisions can begin advancing against enemy positions already. And the plan is to move forward and potentially cut off Ottoman defenders and German troops here, because there's a German division there moving up ahead. How is the situation in Italy? Okay, troops are recovering. They're going to be kept behind the front lines for the time being, and we might move them up ahead. We might move them actually up ahead towards the front in Rome, and see if we can launch counterattacks from there, rather than trying to do anything on the eastern front against Ancona, because there's just too many enemy troops deployed. So let's get that organized. I'll send them over, and then we will see if we can, with the arrival of Russian fighter craft, now make something potentially happen on the Roman front. Right, the 8th Fighter Wing has arrived, and we're still waiting for the others. But how's the overall opposition in the air? It's not that many, so I think we can. We'll wait for the other 2 air wings, and then we will be beginning offensive operations there. We have the 9th Fighter Wing in Baghdad. Let's see. Mesopotamian air zone we can still cover, so we can give air support to friendly troops here. In Italy, the air situation actually seems to be shifting in our favor, and we are now starting to have a positive kill-death ratio. So that is exciting to see. I'm not sure we can keep up with production, however. We currently have 10 factories on the I-180s, but we'll be bringing in new fighter models soon. And we'll also be having to upgrade the tanks soon. It's not enough manpower equipment for garrisons, but that's fine. I think that's just, I don't think it's manpower, I think it's just rifles. Yeah, we're good. We're good. And 97% equipment ratio is good enough. Am I prioritizing reinforcements? Yes, as it should be. Okay, so with that situation rectified and Russian tanks arriving once again in Shreveport, we have Stefan, who is back and who needs obviously a field marshal. So we're going to redeploy Markov once again, and the two of them can work together to deal with the situation there. We're waiting for aircraft to arrive, and we're fighting an air battle over Italy, where the troops are moving into position in Rome for an attempt at going on the offensive potentially. Now that we have air support, and here I think we are pretty clear on the march towards Adana, and that should affect the amount of supply that the Ottomans are going to be having available to them. And we should have green air. We should actually have green air over Mesopotamia, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Why? But we are breaking through regardless. The fighter craft. What's wrong? Why can we not get? We are in air superiority. Okay, maybe it's a day-night thing. So I'm going to try to minimize the losses. So we're only doing day missions. Especially that there is no opposition in the field. All right, last one for today, a permanent unified command. In the Great War, the complete independence of the army and naval command staffs from each other created severe difficulties in joint operations and strategic planning. The importance of combined arms warfare between the army, navy, and especially the air force in the next war cannot be overstated, so the branches must be unified under the command of a permanent stavka in times of both peace and war. Good, so that's done. Then with that, we can probably be doing the state export companies, and alternatively, that's this recruitable population. Infrastructure, air infrastructure, security, it's all important. It's all important, but I'm going to do one last on the economic front for now. And we'll see how bad that gets with the free trade agreement. But it's if we can do some economic decisions before the war breaks out eventually, then that would be a good place to be. And with that, we've got 3 air wings in China, which are going to be on air superiority during the day on the northern Chinese plain, and with that we are suddenly starting to counter Japanese air forces. All right, that all in all might just turn things around for us. The American fighters haven't arrived yet, but once they do, we'll get them up in the air as well. And with that, yes, now we've got green air over Mesopotamia. Yes, with that we are once again on the offensive on many fronts, and we will see if we can crack the nuts of the Italian front potentially as well. I don't think the papal troops can hold this position. We'll give this up, and we'll see if we can manage a breakthrough near Rome, and at least to consolidate the front lines somewhat here, and see if we can maybe push towards Terni. We'll see. But troops are getting into position, and we'll move on from there.